of Shaping Success, Wes Tankersley.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Shaping Success Morning Coffee. How many days is this now? Let's see. We got 6 last week. It's day 9. Day 9 of morning coffee. I've been doing this for 9 days now. I don't know that I need to count down the numbers or do those things, but if you're joining us on TikTok, head on over to Shaping Success with Wes Tankersley on YouTube and join the conversation because it is there. I've been getting feedback, and it's fun to hear that feedback. This is kind of just like my thoughts type of podcast, and I'm gonna have to put it on. I'm gonna keep it here on YouTube, but I'm gonna have to open up another account, and I'm gonna put it on Spotify because the regular podcast is on Spotify, but actually these episodes, I get allotted a certain amount of time for my subscription on Buzzsprout. And so for every hour I have to add, it's $3. And I'm gonna max out today. So you'll still see it the same place. And I guess that's more for me just saying that out loud because I got to do that because I want to keep doing it and I want to keep putting this out for you guys. The things that, I wanted to talk about today. Well, before we talk about that, feedback, right? A friend of mine sent me a message last night and I woke up to it this morning, and it's like one of those things that really just makes me happy to see that people like this. People want to hear me talk. Because on the podcast, I've been doing a lot of, and I say on the podcast, on the regular show, which comes out every Monday, I've been doing interviews and things like that for quite a few years. And some of the feedback was like a lot of the guests are the same. Like they say the same things over and over again. He's right. I'm trying to find a way to not bore people. And maybe this is one of those ways. Superman Cup this morning. And there's a lot of people who do, like one of my friends does Coffee Talk with Lex Chano. He does that stuff. He did his regular podcast or whatever. But I mean, the only reason I'm calling it morning coffee is just because I'm drinking my coffee and I'm still processing and I'm thinking and I'm going through the things that I'm going through. But I feel like everyone should have a morning or a time, a routine to kind of decompress before the day starts. And that's kind of what I do. And I didn't, I realize that I do that, but I don't know what it really entails. And so it's interesting to see how it unwinds and unfolds and what I'm thinking about that morning and challenging myself to kind of give myself a topic to talk about to myself, So for me, my topic today is just thinking about perfectionism and trusting the process, because a lot of times I don't think we do. I think we give up on the process too soon. And days are running in themselves, so I can't remember what we talked about yesterday, but talking about like David Goggins telling you, or, his book and how pushing your limits and making yourself stronger are really tough to do because you get comfortable, you get stuck, you get to this place where this is good enough. And I've spent a lot of time reflecting on my life and what's been going on lately and going, is this a me problem? Is this just me having really high standards and wanting more? And I have conversations with people and I think about it and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting more. But sometimes your current situation doesn't allow you to have more. Like maybe someone else has the more for you. Like they've done it, they've built it, they're going to continue to make their thing better. Now you can be a tool to help them do that, or you can do your own thing and create something for yourself. And so that's where I'm at. Do I stop, be comfortable, be complacent, or do I keep going and try to be more? And I never want to be complacent. And those are the things that, like, when you start to say things and say out loud, run them through your mind and think about how it affects you, Like, I can't be complacent. I can't do that. Like, it's not enough. It's never enough. Like, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but for me, it's a good thing. But looking at like, so talk about the podcast for instance, my initial thought on this morning coffee thing was, well, you put more out there, more happens, right? I need sponsors. I need people to believe in what I'm doing, but they also have to realize that there's something there, right? Like, it has to be beneficial to them. So when you get feedback, which I very rarely get, if you want to send me feedback, I really appreciate it no matter what, because I think a lot of people think that negative feedback is not good feedback. But to think about it, like when you get a negative comment, to think about it in a different light, in a different way. And I don't think that negative, and I say it's negative because it sounds like it's not a good thing when you say that, but it's like, okay, well, I don't like this about what you're doing, or I don't like that about what you're doing. What's up, Wug? How's it going? Talking over on TikTok. We got my buddy Wug over there. Again, this will be a morning coffee. We're doing this on YouTube Live, but I've got TikTok streaming over here because I kind of want to get some people on TikTok over on YouTube so they can see this every morning. But you know, that perfectionism, like understanding that no matter what, it's up to you. Like, are you comfortable? That's great. That's what this podcast, the actual podcast, is based on, is like, no matter what it is, success is generated by you, and it is what it is for you. And for me, it's being more. It's being more every single day. And how do you do that? And looking at, like I said, my initial thoughts are looking at the stats of where it's going and how it's moving and who's listening and all that stuff. It's like I'm looking at it, I'm going, well, this is not moving. Like, it hasn't moved. It traditionally gets like 30 listens an episode. And over time it gets more. I mean, I have some episodes that have 400 downloads, but that's over 4 years. So am I doing something wrong? Am I not reaching the people that I need to? What can I do to do more? Well, my thoughts are put more out there. Like, if you don't have enough of what you're looking for, you're not reaching enough people. The more you do something, the more you're going to reach someone, and the more you process it. And a lot of times I sit there and go, why am I the way that I am? Well, I'm the way that I am because I'm not okay with mediocrity. And you can get into that process where mediocrity just becomes monotonous and you're just okay over and over again. I wake up every day. I do the same thing over and over and over, and nothing changes. Well, if you don't change something, then nothing's going to change. So what can you do? What can you do to be better? And that's where I look at quotes that, that these people say, that I see. So, sorry, I'm looking up John Wooden one because that's what I'm thinking about. But thinking about every single day, it doesn't matter what you do. What can you do to make yourself better the next day? And I honestly, truly feel that way. I honestly, truly think that way. And so to do that, what do you got to do? What do you have to do? So you have to think about it. My job, and I'm gonna talk about my job, okay? Because my job is a process for me. Like, everything is a process, and this is what I want to talk about: processes today. Everything is a process, okay? And so when you do something, so like what I do, okay, for instance, there's a process to how my day goes. I'm not looking at my calendar right now, but I live my life by my calendar. And so, not my life, but my day by my calendar, right? So I wake up in the morning, I look at my calendar. I may have looked at it last night to kind of see what I have going on today. Looking at my calendar yesterday, I can tell you that there is not very many appointments on there, which I need appointments to go out to do my job, right? Like, I need to be able to go into someone's house and show them what I sell and have them pick something out and sell it to them. So usually as a salesperson, the first thing that I do is, when I show up to the house, I'm always on time, usually early, because I don't like being late. And knock on the door, go inside, and I kind of have notes of like what people want. So I kind of try to, oh, well, they want this. So then I'm like, all right, well, I kind of know where I'm going, but I want to make sure that they understand what they're wanting. Because a lot of times people will say, well, I want this, but they don't really know what they want. And so you got to figure out what exactly it is that they want. I can eliminate 50% of the products that we sell just by asking them one question. And I've realized that over 4 years. I just have to ask them one question. Do you want to control light, or do you want to be able just to shut the light out and then let the light in? And that basically just takes half the products out. And then at that point, you kind of try to figure out their budget, and then you figure it out. And then once you have that, now it's picking out colors. Well, do you have an idea of what you want, or do you, whatever, like you start just eliminating things over and over again, and you've done it so much. And then I go, okay, perfect. Show me the windows that you want. I start measuring all the windows, and I go, all right, I got it. I'll be right back. I'm going to go out to my truck. I'm going to put the quote together. We have 2 different ways that we offer that they pay. So I figure out what the quote is, write down the 2 ways that we ask them to pay, walk inside, give them the 2 options. They say yes, perfect, and run the transaction. And then when I go outside, or when I get done, thank them and go out and order the product. Well, there's people who do this differently than me, and they're not as efficient as me, and they wonder why I'm so efficient. It's because I've tried over and over again to do this process the same way over and over. And every time there's something that I don't like, I redo it. I do it different. So I've done this thousands of times, right? Over 4.5 years, I've done this thousands of times, and I've gotten so good at it. There are other people that will walk in and they have a hard time figuring out what the person wants. They have a hard time making a quote quickly and doing all that stuff. And I sit there in my mind and I'm like, why is this so hard for other people? Why can't they quote in the house? Because I was having a conversation with someone I worked with yesterday, and it's like, they're like, dude, you're just really good at what you do. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's easy. And they're like, it's easy. Well, why is it so easy? Because I've turned it into something that made it easy for myself. And so I had the same thing when I was a teacher. I spent 4 years teaching, right? So 3 of them I was a PE teacher. 1 year I had to grade papers. And I'm like, what can I do to grade these papers to make this easier on my life? And I started doing things like I found ways to make it easier. I found ways to make it so that it was more streamlined so that I didn't have to sit there. And there's teachers that are sitting there going, I spend all night grading papers and I can't this and I can't. And it's like, well, make your life easier. I read every single paper, but I graded every single paper in Google Classroom on a doc. I made it so it sent it to my grade book. Like there was these ways that I could make my job easier so that I could spend more time doing the things that I wanted to do and less time doing the things that I didn't want to do. And I was good at what I did, and I held kids to a high standard, and that's what you do. But like, you have to be willing to find a way. And when people say they don't have time, I just don't understand. Like, I don't get it. I have some empathy for them because I get why they feel the way they do, but I just don't understand how you can't find a way to be more efficient. And that will figuring out a way to be more efficient and being okay with being more efficient every single day will give you more time, right? To do the things that you want to do. Now, I spend some time screwing off. Yeah, but I've made myself more time by doing that. Like, getting up at 4:15 in the morning is not for everyone, but I've given myself more time to process and think about these things. So the process is what it takes, right? Figuring out what that is. And I think if you have a hard time doing something, what you have to do is start thinking about reflecting on how you do it and how you can make it better and more efficient. And it's easy to get distracted and it's easy to procrastinate. I hear people talk about, and I'm not like saying this isn't a real thing because I feel like I might have it, but in this world where technology is at your hands all the time, like I'm always trying to do something. Like I'm always trying to, I'm watching a movie, posting to social media, reading a book. Like when I'm when I'm reading, like when I'm studying for college, it was like I had to have headphones in. Like I feel like I have that. I think it's a real thing, but you have to learn to maximize your time. And to maximize your time, you have to find the process of what works. And if you get distracted, then you have to find a way to distract yourself. So the process, you know. The other thing, though, is about that. We talked about patience yesterday, is like being patient. Here's a quote right here. Slow down, calm down, don't worry, don't hurry, trust the process. As you do things over and over again, as you work through that process, you will start to perfect it, and you will start spending less time doing it, which will free up that time. And you have to trust that what you're doing will pay off over time, right? I'm just looking through some of these quotes I pulled up because what I do typically is I'll talk about like trust the process. That's what I'm talking about today. And I'll go through and I'll pull up some quotes and like relate them. That's the other thing too. The conversations that I have with you on here is me talking about how I got through what I got through, or how I worked through what I went through. The way that works is every single time I talk to someone, anytime I have a conversation with people, I start to think about how that works in my life, how it worked out for me. Was I successful in what I did? Would I do something different? And that all goes back to the process, right? Taking a shortcut is always profitable. Doing the right thing may take longer, but just trust the process. Your reward is true or sure. That goes hand in hand with integrity, right? How do you feel about the things that you do when you cheat, right? Like when you don't do all the things that you need to do. Do you feel good about it because you got the reward that you wanted, or do you feel guilty and realize that, you didn't really earn it? It didn't really mean anything to you. And that's a hard pill to swallow, because if you didn't earn it, if you didn't do the work, and you weren't fair about the way that you did it, if you in your heart are okay with that, I'm not. Like, I need to make sure that I'm doing everything within the parameters of what is asked of me. I like this one. This one says, just do the work and the results will handle themselves. I have to tell you, I did a podcast with my daughter, and we were talking about stuff, and she said something like, don't brag. Well, obviously our kids pick up on what we say, and our kids listen to what we say, and they emulate and keep moving and doing those things. And it's funny because she said that, and I related it back to a time when my dad said something to me. He said, there's a lot of talented people, and I was talented to an aspect with football. Like I got a scholarship to play football. Part of it was being, 6'3" and being a big old giant dude. But there's some skill involved in that. I wasn't the fastest person on the field, but I was the quickest off the ball. And so being quick off the ball gave me some stuff that other people didn't have. I was able to get off the line really quick and put the person out of the way and do the things that an offensive lineman needs to do. And I would catch myself like, just do the work, and you could start bragging about it. Like, look at that guy, he's on the ground or whatever. But that wasn't it. I wasn't the type of person who would brag about it, because my dad said, your work will speak for itself. You don't have to speak for it. And I had a friend whose dad was a contractor, and he was talking about the two different people. He was a contractor. His dad did the work, and the other guy did like the talking. And he, it was always like, so-and-so talked about it, but so-and-so did it. So that was kind of what it was like. It was like, to me, it was like, all right, I want to be the guy who did it. I didn't want to be the guy who talked about it. So putting yourself out there and being able to do the work, people see it. People see the results of your hard work. You don't need to brag about it, but that process you created was how it was, is what it is. So we're gonna go one more here, and then I'm gonna roll out. I don't know what's going on in the YouTube chat room. Appreciate you guys hanging out over on TikTok. We're not getting anything in the chat room. Usually there's a lot of conversation going on in the chat room right now, so I don't know if anyone's there. It might not be working. Who knows? But we'll upload this into the podcast. If there's a topic that you guys want to talk about, email me, wes@westtankersley.com. This is really live, raw, uncut, like unedited product. My regular podcast that I do on Monday is edited and similarly produced, but yeah. All right, one more. Let's see if we can find something here that gets us going today. I like this one. This is funny. This is by Winnie the Pooh. I don't know. It's got to be by someone else. Nikki says she's in YouTube. Are you able to comment? I can't see any comments over there right now, so I don't know what's going on with Restream. Destination issue. Some of your destinations. Let's see if we can figure this out. Oh, upgrade. I don't know what's going on here. Restart Restream and see what's going on with it. Little technical difficulties apparently right now. Our stream is going. Your stream might not reach some destinations. Please check their settings. I'll have to go through and look at that. Nikki says she was on and she was commenting, which it is what it is. Okay, well, we'll get it squared away. We'll figure it out. Sometimes those settings don't happen, and I kind of went out on a whim. She still likes me. Okay. Life is a journey. This is Winnie the Pooh. This is the last one we're going to go through. We're going to get out of this. Sorry for the technical difficulties on the streaming side, but you can watch the whole thing on YouTube if you want. It's still recording. Maybe my computer needs coffee. Winnie the Pooh, the old bear that likes the honey. Life is a journey to be experienced, not a problem to be solved. Boy, that's deep. Not a problem to be solved. Think about your experiences. That's wow. Sorry, now I'm in deep thought about that one. Everything that you have been through in life is an experience, right? It's something that defines who you become, and the things that you face, the problems that you solve, the situations that you go through will make you better or worse depending on what you allow it to do. Okay? So take those experiences, glean the information, and understand that no matter what you're doing, the outcome is determined by you. You can choose how you assess the situation and handle it. I want you to take that in. You have two choices. You can move forward or you can stay where you're at. I choose to move forward, and I hope that you do too. That is what I'm going to leave you with today. Remember, if you can, subscribe to the YouTube channel, turn on the little bell, subscribe to the podcast, do a review on Apple Podcasts if you're listening to it there. That's really the only place that you can do it. It helps grow. If you want to help the show, join the Patreon for as little as $3 a month. You can help me grow this show. I'm going to have to move again, and I'm going to have to figure out how to create a studio space in a place that doesn't have a dedicated one like this does. So go through there. Thank you, Johnny. Hope you're doing good over there, buddy. I'm going to have to go through and figure out a way to make something work in a makeshift place. So hopefully we can get that squared away. But it is all about moving forward. And I thank you for all your continued support. So have a good day. I challenge you to find a shape of your success.